This week on the Big Boss Book Club, I'm joined by Pascal to discuss Metal Gear Solid 4, continuing my series within a series, looking at the Metal Gear Solid franchise. We go into our favourite characters, the story, and how goddamn complex it is. All that and more this week on the Big Boss Book Club. So, we are up to one of my favourite games in the Metal Gear Solid series. We are continuing our series within a series, looking at the Metal Gear Solid franchise. So, Metal Gear Solid 4, the time is here. Released in 2008 on the PlayStation 3. Again, produced by Konami and created by Hideo Kojima. I remember this game being released when I was at uni. I went all in. I pre-ordered it. The guide. I hit the midnight opening. One of only 2 games I've ever attended a midnight opening for. Absolute smash hit of a game. To discuss this, I'm joined by returning guest, fellow Bravo bro, the Swiss Superman, Pascal. Welcome back to the show. How's it going, dude?
Well, it's going glorious since I'm able to join back the show and
Yeah.
talk about one of my favorite games as well, Metal Gear Solid 4. It's close to this, like my second favorite game of the series.
Really? Okay. What's your first then?
Metal Gear Solid 3. It's the first one I played,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I
Okay.
played it on 3DS.
Oh wow, really? Okay. That's different. Wow.
Yeah,
It
and
was
right after I went into Metal Gear Solid 4, and I was blasted away.
yeah. I think I'll be honest, I do think this is probably my favourite game in the series. Um we'll go into why, but yeah, like I was thinking about it earlier actually, because I was kind of like trying to rank them in my head, just like 1 through 5, and I was like, it's actually really difficult.
Yes, yes. I did the same. I'll start then.
Okay.
Favorite is 3, second is
Okay.
4, then comes either 5 or 2, which is, like, difficult.
Oh
And I
wow.
really didn't like 1 too much because I played it the last. It's the last one I played, and, when you
S-
don't have, like, the build-up of the technology that is in there, it misses a lot, in my opinion. And
yeah.
also, I wasn't able to play as Big Boss, which is,
Yeah,
a
that's it.
downer for me because Big Boss is my real Snake
Yeah,
in
he
that
is
regard.
he is the main man. Yeah, actually, I see. Yeah, we'll do it now. Bugger it. See, for me, it's probably 4. Then it's probably 1. Because 1 was the first one I played. And uh, we've got. Then it's probably 3. Then it's probably
Mhm.
5, and actually, the bottom one for me is 2. I think. Solely because I'm not a huge Raiden fan. And
Well, I played 2 after Revengeance.
you see, my mate
And
Jim.
if I can also put Revengeance in it.
No,
Okay.
if people get it when because you won't be. So we've already recorded episode. By the time we've done this, obviously we've recorded episode 3 with my friend Jim. He's the one who's done Metal Gear Solid 3 with me, and we talked about Revengeance a little bit in that. And I was just like, no. He's like, well, we can include it. I was like, no, no.
It's not a Metal Gear Solid. It's not a Metal
It's,
Gear
it's not.
game. It's a hack and slash. It's a different
That's
game.
it. It's Devil May
Yeah.
Cry with Raiden.
It's Devil May
It's
Cry in even better, in my
well,
opinion.
I suppose it's links to Metal Gear, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Only because of that, obviously. And
so
Platinum Games.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, don't even still do platinum. I don't even think they even do platinum anymore. Is it? It's just like
They
PlayStation
do.
Classics or something like they're called now.
No, the Platinum Games do still produce games. I mean, or did like a couple of years ago.
Oh,
They had this Astral Chain for the Switch.
oh, is it? Oh, is that the name of the company?
Platinum Game is the name of the company that did Metal Gear
Oh,
Rising.
oh, okay. That's see, I don't know these things. I
And
thought you meant like
they also
platinum, as in they used to do platinum
oh,
games.
no, 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 no,
Games were
no, no.
platinum.
No, no, the company that produced Metal Gear Rising also it the same that do Bayonetta, if you know that?
No. Oh, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the good hack and slash games that are not Devil May Cry are made by Platinum Games.
Ah, they've pigeonholed themselves there, really, haven't they?
Yeah.
So we'll dive in. How did you come across Metal Gear Solid 4?
Well, initially I came across Metal Gear Solid because of my uncle, because 3 was his favorite game and he wanted me to play it, so I played it and I loved it. And I think I've seen Metal Gear Solid 4 in the game section for a long time then and was like, well, if 3 was that good, 4 can only be better.
Mm,
And it was somewhat right. I mean, I really missed healing your own injuries by doing the stuff from 3,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
like, well, that's the only thing I missed in 4. But Jesus Christ, the story is so over the place.
yeah. Oh, yes. We'll get to complexity of story
Yeah, I finished the
of
game at before I had to go to school and get some exams in at
mm.
2 o'clock in the morning. I
Oh,
defeated the
wow.
final boss 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what that means, right?
Yeah, you didn't get to bed till 5 o'clock in the morning because the final video is like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I just went directly from the video to school.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when the game came out. So obviously it was 2008. I mean, I was at uni, so I remember having a conversation with my friend Jim, and him saying like it's an interactive movie. There's more video time in the game than there is actual like playtime. Like you moving around as Snake, there is less of that than there is film. Like, and
Yes.
he's like, we thought it was bad in 3. 4 takes it to a whole nother level in just
Yeah.
let's just yeah, like every 3 inches you move as a character you have at least 35 minutes of video, um and it's insane. uh,
It's actually what I liked about it so much because the story is great.
yeah, I mean it's I mean it's given me hours of entertainment. They said uh I spoke about this with Hamish. One of the reasons me and him got together on episode 1 was because of Kefka Productions, which is like a YouTube channel, and they have basically put together all the Metal Gear Solid games to basically make movies out of them, and they're
Mhm.
so beautifully edited and so wonderfully made, that you can make full movies out of these games and not really like have practically no gameplay on show, very little gameplay on show, and still somehow make it work.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
4,
Uh,
I think, takes it to the next level. So yeah, so this game for me was like one of 2 games. So I've only ever been to 2 midnight releases of a game, Metal Gear Solid 4 and Resident Evil 5. And actually, the only reason I went to Resident Evil 5 was because I was in a pub across the road from Game, and they opened, and I was in the pub, and I went, "Well, I might as well just go pick it up now." so, 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 I suppose in many ways, this is actually the only one I've intentionally gone out of my house and gone to a midnight opening for. Um, I love the Metal Gear Solid series, as you can probably tell by the fact we're doing this episode. So, in terms of plot, yeah, I wonder if you'll get the. Do you know who Des Lynam is? You ever heard of the name
uh,
Des Lynam?
no.
So people in the UK will probably get this. Des Lynam was the host of like I can't even remember what the name of the show was now, but basically did all like the Saturday football results, and he was like the face of like UK football commentary.
Okay.
And the first thing I thought when we first see Snake in this game was, my God, they've turned him into Des Lynam. And in fact, I'm pretty sure at the time someone online made the comparison and was like, "Holy cow, they've turned him into Des Lynam." Um,
I can
You,
see it.
you're
I just looked
googling
up.
it, aren't you?
I Google it. It's
It's him, isn't it? It's him. It's
so
Snake's a bit taller, a bit more muscular, but it's 100% him.
yeah.
um, this game's really so. One of the things I do like about this game is the storyline. So we'll jump in. So obviously we start off in the Middle East. Snake is looking unbelievably old and exactly like
Also, his
Deadline.
name is unbelievably old.
Old Snake. Oh man, that irritated me so much. I
Yeah,
can't even tell you the fact that they people call him Old Snake, and it even comes up in like his name comes up as Old Snake, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
it really irritated me, because he's still Solid Snake. Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah. Well, it also confused me. Who am I playing as now? Because it was the
yeah,
second game in the series that I played.
uh,
So I was like, who, Old Snake, Big Boss. Wait, Big Boss was Snake. Why? Because I
yeah,
had no idea that they're different snakes because I only played three and then started
uh,
four and was like, I had no clue. I needed to do a deep dive into YouTube to look what is happening in Metal Gear Solid
you
in
see,
order to play the game.
yeah, you see, this was something else me and Hamish went into actually in episode one, where we said about how much homework should you really need to do to play a game. Like how much homework is um, reasonable to play a video game. Like there shouldn't be that much, should there?
It depends. I mean, if I think in Metal Gear Solid you need to do a lot of homework in order to actually grasp the story,
Yeah.
even just scratch on the surface of the story. But it doesn't feel bad to do so.
No.
It feels very nice to do so. So it is giving you something in return. But if you have a game where you need to do that in order to just notice what's happening, and then the story is bad,
Yeah.
then there's no need to. Then it's bad to actually just have to do any homework at all. Um, for example, if you would need to do homework in order to play Devil May Cry, which has a very flatline story, yeah, Son of Sparta, uh, kills demons, goes to hell sometimes, and that's it. It's basic. If you need to do homework for that, and you're just like, okay, could have just written that in 10 sentences and I would have known it.
Yeah.
Um, then it feels bad. But with Metal Gear Solid, when you start to read it, when you know, okay, Les Militaires Sans Frontières, and all the other stuff that comes in there, the different times that happens,
Yeah.
the different organizations that come into it. It feels you just suck it up like a sponge, and it doesn't feel bad. I mean, um, I surely did like over 10 hours of just homework in order to play Metal Gear Solid 4, but it
Yeah.
felt so great. And since I didn't read what happens in Metal Gear Solid 4, all the things that happened whilst the story was continuing felt so like a good finish.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. I know what you mean.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel bad to actually do so much homework because I didn't play one and two, obviously. So like the whole background story of Solid Snake was missing for me. Maybe that's also why I didn't like two and one too much because I already knew the stories of them because
And
I
what was happening?
did do my research for Metal Gear Solid 4. Um, yeah, but still, it felt very nice to actually be informed what happens there.
Yeah. To be honest with you, that's actually quite a good take because we were like, with when Hamish and myself, when we were talking, we were saying about the the first appearance of the ninja in Metal Gear Solid One, and it's like Colonel, that's Grey Fox, and it's like if you've never played Metal Gear or Metal Gear Two Solid Snake, you're scratching your head going, "What's a Grey Fox?" So it's like it's really weird how so because I was thinking like obviously in this you get so obviously you start off in the Middle East, um, you first encounter sort of Meryl and her team. So it's like unless you've
Mhm.
played Metal Gear Solid One, you would have no clue who Meryl was. Um, and then after you've sort of dealt with Meryl and her boys, you get to Liquid Ocelot, and you kind of have to then that's two characters. That's Ocelot, and it's Liquid Snake. which is
Is it though? Is it though?
well, no, we'll get to that. But
We'll
but
get to
yeah,
that.
like so that must have been like was there an element there where you were like, let's just Ocelot, what's this liquid guy? Or did you kind of already know that?
Well, at this point was when I like, who the fuck is Liquid Ocelot? Why does he has to name the name Liquid in front of it? So I started to do research at that point, and I was like, ah, okay, that makes sense. And also, maybe I even looked the ones up the videos you taught before because they were like movies when I watched them.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I mean, the Middle East part of the game, which obviously is quite foundational, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of the game, actually, second only to the Shadow Moses part. The first noticeable thing here, I don't know if it was because it possibly would have been for you, was
Mhm.
camera angles. Like Metal Gear Solid 3
It
still had the random
it
changing,
felt.
didn't it?
I mean, it was a mixture into the 3DS part. The 3DS part,
Mm.
you could even crouch in the 3DS part. Metal Gear
Okay.
Solid 3, which is, it was kind of different, and it still is my favorite version of Metal Gear Solid 3 because you can
Cool.
crouch, which is insane useful. Um, but it felt way more free than Metal Gear Solid 3.
Mm.
But the first impression I had was like, am I playing Metal Gear Solid or am I playing Battlefield?
Mm.
But
Yeah, because it
it was
becomes
like
just an over the shoulder third person shooter game, doesn't it? Essentially.
exactly, and I was like, am I supposed to sneak or just should I just shoot everybody?
I'm probably not the best person to ask that question to because my answer is always shoot everybody. I was having this conversation with a mate of mine actually. He loved so he's one of his favorites is Metal Gear Solid 3, and he loves the CQC. So he's stealthing, he's tranking, he's CQCing everyone. He is not trying to shoot a gun that isn't the trank gun, if possible. And I said, oh, I could do that, and it lasted 5 minutes, if that. First enemy I tried to CQC saw me, raised the alarm. I just pulled my guns out, and started shooting. I was just like, I was just
So
like,
your boss fight against Sorrow has been very long.
oh yeah, yeah. The first time, yeah, it was the second time went through. I thought I'm gonna have to. I can't do that again because it was very my first time. Yeah, there
My
was
first time
lots
was
of
2 hours.
soldiers. Oof.
I killed everybody.
Oh,
Everybody.
that was a that was a long boss fight for you then, wasn't it? Just duck,
Yes.
ducking and weaving through all these people coming at you. Oh wow, yeah, mine was as well. It's that point where you realize these are all the people I've killed, and you're like, okay, we
Yeah.
need to stop doing that for the next playthrough. Next playthrough, smooth as silk. Just yeah, just walking this nice and easy. Um,
And then you start it again.
yeah, then you just get fed up and start killing people. So when we meet Liquid Ocelot, obviously in the Middle East, we get this massive um, meltdown of troops. We get to see Naomi again. Well,
Mhm.
us again. You for the first time. Did you take advantage of all the flashbacks in Metal Gear Solid 4?
I think partially, not
Because
completely. I missed some of them.
I think they're even a trophy. I seem to think I think they may be a trophy, and I don't even think I ever got that trophy. Um, I'd have to go back and look on my PlayStation 3. But a little part of me wants to say I didn't even get that trophy. Um, we get to see our baddies as well. What did you think of the baddies on first sight? The B&B squad.
Terrifying.
Yeah,
So terrifying. And I, yeah. I think they're still the most terrifying, like, baddies in the whole franchise.
yeah. Actually, yeah. Actually, I would agree there because Metal Gear Solid, yeah, Foxhound in Metal Gear Solid One weren't like they weren't overly imposing. I mean,
Yeah.
Psycho Mantis was probably the closest you got to a
Yeah,
scary baddie.
but in Metal Gear Solid 4, all the boss fights are scary as hell.
Yeah.
Especially the first one, you could just throw in and it was like, what
Oh,
the fuck do I have to do?
Yeah,
Um,
laughing octopus.
Laughing Octopus. Oh my god, I was so close to quit the game. I was I was I was so, like I have no idea what I should do. I can't see her.
Yeah.
I can't know. She just attacks me from nowhere, and then I started to actually look at it and see how I can deal with it. And it's
Get
not
the
that
old.
it's not that difficult, but um, yeah. But I was
No, but
overwhelmed at
yeah,
the
I mean
beginning.
that is pretty thingy because like the whole stealth element and like the fact that she's always
Yeah.
like mixed in with something. So as soon as you walk past, she just hits you, and you're like, ah, yeah,
Yeah, it's so frustrating. But when you start to just cool down and really concentrate on what you're doing, it's like with the end in Metal Gear Solid 3. I just started running at the start and got shot all the time and was tranked. I was like, oh shit, now I'm
yeah.
hungry.
Do you just fast forward your console?
The first time, yes.
Yeah, I've never faced the end. I've never faced the
The
end.
second time I actually had, one time I played him when I'm just sneaked towards him and just hit him in the face all the time. But I never had a proper sniper battle because I was just not good enough at aiming on the 3DS. Because you have to aim with the A, B, X, and Y buttons. It's
Oh,
forget that.
oh God, no,
And
that sounds awful.
after I got the new 3DS, you couldn't use the add-on for the second C stick, so you had to like this little knobble to aim. So forget it.
Not a good. Doesn't sound like a good
No.
console to have it on, to be honest. Um,
Well, if you have the second C stick, it's in my opinion the
it's all right.
best version of the game.
Oh,
But if you don't have that one, it's unplayable.
well, fair play. Yeah, they are pretty terrifying. But I suppose it's a good comp because even like again going back to Metal Gear Solid 3, the cobras they're not overly scary. They're
No,
not.
that they're imposing, but they're not scary.
Yeah. Dead Cell from Metal Gear Solid 2 are just laughable. Like Fat Man. Okay. Um,
Even the name.
get yeah, guys chasing after you on rollerblades. It's like, yeah, it's a big giveaway that this is not a guy to be feared.
Yeah.
Um, the yeah, I suppose you've got I'll say this near the Cobras, Foxhound, and Dead Cell at this point. So yeah, it's not a big Raging Raven. It's pretty terrifying later on.
Well, Rachel Raven
Mantis.
is. I mean, I think the most terrifying one was Laughing Octopus.
Mm,
Also after you've beaten her and you trigger this little cutscene with the when she just walks towards you and still
yeah,
laughing. It's like, fuck. It's
yeah.
still scary.
They are
Yeah.
constantly terrifying. So we'll get to this bit in the game actually. So after obviously we have all the hate, mayhem and pandemonium in the Middle East, we end up in South America. Massive civil war site. We are going to get a hold of Naomi. Um, talk a little bit about here. So we get Rose back. Now, obviously, you said you didn't really play Metal Gear 2 until like quite late.
Yeah.
Um, so as soon as I saw Colonel be like, I'd like you to speak to Rosemary, I was like, oh my good God, why is this woman back on my screen? I couldn't stand her in Metal Gear Solid 2. it's like, it's like,
Yes.
why is she back? It's just like, oh goodness. So I suppose it wouldn't have been
Also the whole thing with Colonel and Rosemary.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it gets sort of explained later, but yeah, I was kind of like at the time I was kind of fair play to him. You know what I mean? Hope I've got that type of pulling power when I'm his age. Um, but like as soon as I saw Rose, I was like, oh my goodness, and Vamp as well. I I kind of felt like we didn't need Metal Gear Solid 2. I felt we could have moved on without them.
Well, yeah. Jesus Christ, Vamp. That was such a waste of time, this boss fight. Jesus Christ, was I stupid.
Yeah, he's just all the effort we went to. We put him in that vat of chemicals in two. We then shot him in the face at the end, and this
No,
guy just
I mean
keeps
in
coming
Metal Gear
back.
Solid 4. In Metal Gear Solid
Oh, in
4. The
four.
whole boss
Oh,
fight.
yeah,
I we get to that later.
yeah. Just waste a load of ammo. Um, So obviously here we get Laughing Octopus, as you said. We get hold of Naomi. She makes us aware that obviously the Fox Die and Snake system is breaking down, and it was going to turn him into a weapon of mass destruction. Um, we also learn that Liquid's plan is to turn off the Sons of the Patriot system, which
Mhm.
is what caused all the ruckus in the Middle East. Um, but like we said here about, we then obviously meet Laughing Octopus and we have that boss fight. Something that always stood out to me, and I don't know if you caught it, then the bit after you beat her and she's walking towards you, did you get the camera out?
Yes.
Of course, had to get the camera out. I the, I had this conversation in when we did the second one. My friend Truan, we were talking about Hideo Kojima just being an absolute perv, and
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 4, I think, is the, until we get to Metal Gear Solid 5, of course.
I was just about to
Um,
say, what's about 5?
Metal Gear Solid 4 was like, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn these boss fights into like FHM photo shoots.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I didn't know about this beforehand. Uh, whilst informing myself about the story before, what happened before,
Okay.
it's like, well, don't forget to take your camera out after the boss fights. And I was like, what's gonna happen then? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay. So they're going to start posing for me. Because all the.
But you know that if you turn on music, they even dance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You can take your
Make them
iPod
dance
out,
as
play
well.
music, and they start to do music dance, then dance to the music.
Oh, my good lord. Okay.
It's
Yeah, it's about
it's
right, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, it's Hideo Kojima. What do you
Yeah, that's
expect?
it. Proper perv. God bless him. God bless him. But like, me, I said, me and friend Truman talk about it in sort of two. There's loads of little bits in two where you're like, oh, this is nuts. But all the, my understanding is all the Beauty and the Beast, the women inside these
Mhm.
suits. My understanding is they were all models that actually, like the capture, the screen capture, were all models. Was my understanding. So
I think
I
so. Yeah,
it was supposed to
and
be like a little bit
the
of like a like kind of like a nod, but it was just a really pervy nod.
yeah, and also the in-game story is that they were somehow mentally broken into doing that.
Yeah, yeah, they've all experienced like trauma in like war and
Yeah,
combat and stuff. Um, Again, so it's quite fascinating actually that they opted to do that, but at the same time, it was like, oh come on, just a bit pervy here. Um,
a bit.
we get also actually in the South America part, we get our South America, yeah, yeah. We get our first look at Metal Gear Solid Survive as well, um, with the damn zombies. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I I enjoy. I did.
Why
You know
did you
what?
bring it up? I was successfully just forgetting it, and you just brought it up again. I was like, what? Why?
I've never played Metal Gear Solid Survive, but I had the misfortune of watching. So there was a TV channel in the UK. I don't know if it's still around. That used to just be like video game stuff. Like it used to be like a lot of esports and things like that. And they used to do the first hour, which was always on at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was just two guys playing the first hour of a video game, and they played Metal Gear
Okay.
Solid Survive, and these guys gave up after like 20 minutes. They were just like, "This game sucks."
Wow. Well, I've just noticed that it was like a flop. So
It was.
1 week after the release, I found it for 10 bucks in the local game stores.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it was the Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City of the Metal Gear games, because that game went. Because I don't know if you ever played that. I never actually played it. A friend of mine did, and I was going to buy it, and he literally stopped me. He was like, "Don't do it." He came into work, and I was like, "How are you getting on with the game?" And he went, "Well, I've had to buy a spare DVD, like an empty DVD case, to put the game in." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "So I was getting really angry, and I ripped the box apart in a fit of rage." And I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Yeah, it's a crap game." So yeah, I think Metal Gear Solid Survive unfortunately followed the same. um, the same fate, I think, as Operation
I mean,
Raccoon City.
it's a Metal Gear Solid game without Hideo Kojima and like doing the story, so it's kind of expected.
Yeah, I mean that's Solid Snake, or even Big Boss. Doesn't have any of
Yeah.
them in it. Awful. Um, of course, at this stage as well, when we get the zombies, we do get Raiden back in
Hmm.
his Metal Gear um, Devil May Cry attire. Um,
Not yet. He has like a low level attire of that. He gets geared up for Metal Gear Rising.
yeah, he can do that in his own time, not on my time. Um, so we get away. We find out that Snake needs to go to Europe to recover the body of Big Boss, which is being held by Big Mama. You take from that what you will. Um, of course, this turns out. What did you think of this bit? Because actually, when I got to Europe, I get really annoyed by this segment. The sort of the slow walk in. Don't.
I hated it until the cutscene with Big Mom,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it's like when she did the Star Wars thing. Oh my god!
Well, I am your mother.
Yes, I am your mother.
Bah!
What?
Everyone's just blown away. To be honest, I think as soon as I saw her like on the screen, I was just like, "That's going to be
I, I
over, isn't it?"
I instantly knew it because I just played 3 beforehand, and then I
Yeah,
bought the Metal Gear Solid collection that came out afterward
yeah. The
with
HD collection.
HD collection with all of the games up until 4, and then I played the whole collection through. I started with 4 because I couldn't wait. I wanted to play the new game, and which maybe was a mistake in hindsight.
Mm,
I played 1 and
don't know.
2 on the PlayStation Vita, by the way.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
I'm one of the 2 people who owns a PlayStation Vita.
yeah. You one of the two people, the two suckers who bought it. Um, yeah, I never went to the PS. I got the PSP, but
Yeah.
I never did the Vita.
Well, I just bought it because I finished an exam for
Get
optician
your words
school.
out.
Well, I'm used to say optometrist now because that's my current education. Yeah, optician school, and me and my friend said, okay, we'll buy a console once we finished the last exam that matters.
Oh, fair
And
play.
he got himself a Wii U. I bought the PlayStation Vita. Seems we both
Nice.
decided to play a dead console.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, when I finished paying off my student overdraft, that was when I bought my PS4. So that's still going back a long bloody time, but it's about
PS4. I already had the PS4 at that time.
right.
I just wanted to buy a console so bad, so I went for the PlayStation Vita. It was so stupid.
Oh, no. Um, so once we meet Big Mama, obviously we learn pretty much that the cast of Metal Gear Solid 3 have been the bad guys the whole time,
Yeah,
which also we get our biggest retcon here as well, where they tell us that Dr. Clark was paramedic, but Dr. Clark in Metal Gear Solid 1 is always described as a man.
yeah.
So that's like the biggest retcon they do here. And without any actual explanation, which is really weird because if you look at like even if like Metal Gear Solid 5, there's a lot of filling in the gaps and things make sense. But there's none of that in for this. They just literally go, "Hmm, we're just going to ignore the fact that it was a dude in Metal Gear Solid 1. And now we're only going to address it as the fact that it was paramedic for Metal Gear Solid 3. Just a bit weird. Um,
Yeah.
so what was your thingy like then? Because obviously this is a big reveal. It's like, oh, so you're telling me that actually the cast of the game I've just played are actually the big bad guys who've been um, trying to take over the world.
Well, I was still very much admiring them, so I was like, well, now I am the bad guy.
Ah, that's saying it. You got to be like, yeah, little part, yeah.
I was like,
I,
well, then I am playing a bad guy now. That was my reaction at the beginning.
yeah, I it's interesting, isn't it? Because a little part of me was kind of like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like I appreciate the fact that it's kind of like, hey, do you know those people who were the good guys in the last game you played? They're the bad guys now. How do you feel about them? Um,
I really like that. That's how they build up the whole story, even with Metal Gear One and Metal Gear Two, where you
mm,
obviously have to buy big to battle Big Boss
yeah,
as the main antagonist, which is a whole circle of rivalries and double ancients, triple ancients. I mean, Ocelot. I don't know how much of an ancient he is.
yeah. Does he work for the Russians? Does he work for the Americans? Is he a patriot? Is he not a patriot? Who knows?
He's
Who knows?
all. I mean, shoot him with tranquilizer bullets in Metal Gear Solid 5 and he'll utterly lose. So,
Does he?
yes.
Oh, why do I need to get on that. I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5 again. Only just like side missions, not like replaying any of the game. Um, and I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, I'll say that for Metal Gear Solid 5. But
Yeah, you have a whole podcast for that coming up. So,
yeah, yeah. Um, so I'll save that for then when I kick off about Metal Gear Solid 5. Um, so we get the car chase obviously afterwards. We meet Big Mama, and that's where we face Raging Raven. The boss fight here is quite good because it's a
oh yeah.
you always have to have that enemy in the sky. It kind of feels like so in Metal Gear Solid 1 we have the High D. In 2 we have the Harrier. In 3 the closest thing we get in 3 is probably the Fury flying around like a absolute lunatic. Um, so we get something very similar in this. Thoughts on this boss fight?
Very nice. I mean, I had issues with aiming.
Yeah, quick. She's quick flying around.
Yeah.
But eventually take it down. Did you again take out your camera and iPod?
Yes, I did it with everyone. And yeah, I mean,
I need to do it
it's
now with the
what it's
iPod. I need to. I didn't know about the iPod thing. I knew you could do the camera thing, and they did the posing, and you could take the pictures. But I had absolutely no idea about the iPod thing. So that actually makes me want to dust out the old PlayStation 3 and give that a go because I think it'd be hilarious.
yeah. I mean, it is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he's such a perv. He's such a perv. Um, yeah. So after this, we get quite another long video, don't we? Really here. So obviously, Liquid manages to take over the Sons of the Patriot system. Absolutely, uh, bosses the contingent of armed forces that suddenly rock up to try and take him down. Um, then decides to go to Shadow Moses to get the railgun from Metal Gear Solid from Metal Gear Rex. This probably wouldn't have. So you weren't really around for Metal Gear Solid 1. Uh, I have a massive connection with Metal Gear Rex. I love Metal Gear Rex. It's like phenomenal. When you were like, oh, going back to Shadow Moses, were you like, oh, this is cool, or were you like, ah, I don't really care.
I had no idea what was coming up.
No,
So
we,
also the whole walking through everything, the whole place that happened
the
from
helipad.
Metal Gear Solid One. I didn't know. I didn't know what
Yeah,
happened
the
there.
helipad scene where you've got to do the helipad section.
Yeah,
I see. I when that bit started because I was fresh through this. I didn't know that was coming up. I marked out. I was like, what? Like I was taking pictures of the screen. I was like, this is Metal Gear Solid 4. I absolutely loved. loved this bit. I thought it was wonderful, and then I like the fact that they had him wake up like, "Whoo, it was that dream again," and it's just like, and then you could actually you unlocked the Metal Gear Solid One costume, so you could actually play Metal Gear Solid 4 as Metal Gear Solid One Solid Snake, which I
Yeah,
thought was
yeah.
absolutely hysterical, um, and made me laugh. But I'm a sicko. Um, we get to face our next boss here as well, Crying Wolf. What did you think of this boss fight? Because this, for me, was probably one of the better boss fights in the game.
I was completely overwhelmed at the beginning, like always, but
Yeah,
once you had the mechanics down and you knew what you have to do, um, it was getting way easier, and I really enjoyed it.
yeah. Did you did you compare it to the Sniper Wolf, or did you eventually compare
I
it to
did
the Sniper
eventually,
Wolf?
and in my opinion, it is way better than the Sniper Wolf one because the Sniper Wolf one you're just going to use the RC,
Yeah,
the rocket, and well, yeah.
yeah. You could just shoot. Yeah, you could just fire the remote control missile at her, couldn't you? And have her off
Yes.
that way. Yeah, actually, do you know what? I didn't even think about that. Me and Hamish didn't talk about that. That's quite funny, actually. Um, yeah, I think this boss fight was a lot more dynamic. There was a lot more to it. Because one thing we were talking about during that boss fight was it was almost like what's the best way of describing it? Almost like trench warfare. So you're on one side of the map, they're on the other side of the
Mhm.
map, and you're just shooting at each other. Where
Yeah.
the crying wolf one, like she would come at you and she would be somewhere and then she would move and it might even be behind you and
Mhm.
you'd have to turn around and there was a level of I suppose fear, which is what we've already sort of clocked on, that these guys are far scarier than any of the bad guys that you faced previously. um so to be like, oh hey, where's she gone, and then you maybe stand up and she'd be behind you and she'd shoot you. And yeah, I really enjoyed this boss fight. I thought it was really good. Um, we get to the Rex hangar, and of course, we find the
Mhm.
railgun gone. This is where we get our big reveal about like how everybody's actually dying. It's all just nanomachines.
Yeah.
Nanomachines is keeping everyone alive. Um, and then, of course, we get our Metal Gear Rex versus Metal Gear Ray showdown that fanboys had been talking about since Metal Gear Solid 2. Were you as invested in that, or did you become invested in it later on? What was your thingy first up?
Um, well, I just like robots, so
Ah,
I
okay.
was completely invested in it from the get-go.
Like a Pacific Rim, just too
I
beefy.
haven't watched that though. I haven't watched that though.
Oh,
Pacific Rim is still on my to watch list.
I've not watched the second one. I've watched the first one. The first one's good. I really enjoyed the first one. I just didn't feel there was anything left to accomplish, but they did a second one. So
Okay.
I
Well, I've not watched either of those, but yeah,
need to watch that. You need to get on that, mate. uh,
I'll definitely watch that one time. Yeah.
Yeah. So after this boss fight, we are confronted by a very large vessel,
Mhm.
on par with Arsenal Gear from Metal Gear Solid 2, that obviously Liquid's in command of, tries to kill Snake. We get saved by Raiden and Mei Ling from Metal Gear Solid 1 on the Missouri, a like World War II battleship that somehow manages to scare off the the giant floating fortress that is a liquid ship, which blows my mind actually, and very massively blows my mind. Um, we get our briefing. The Missouri is going to catch up to liquid ship. It's going to essentially launch everyone on board onto liquid ship and on catapults, which is one of the most hilarious cutscenes in any Metal Gear Solid uh, game. And then we're going to work our way through, going to get to the core, upload this virus, which is going to destroy all the AIs and take down Liquid. Um, Obviously, first things first, we have to get up to Screaming Mantis. Now, what? How did you find this one? Because this was a bit of a throwback.
Well, it was weird, the whole psychic things they provided. Um, but I think I missed the like what the fuck moment there because obviously I haven't played the first game where it
Yeah,
was so over the top. On playing the first game on the um, PlayStation Vita was also not that great because I needed to go into the manual settings and select controller set number two.
really? Oh my god! I was actually going to ask you how that worked actually, because I was thinking, how did he swap? So you had to
You
go
have
out the
to swap
game
the
manually.
controller in the menus, yes.
Oh wow! That was a classic. See, one of the wonderful things from PlayStation One is that boss fight because it reads your memory card data, it tells you what games you've been playing, and then it goes makes your control pad vibrate, which was hilarious at the time. And then all you do, take it out, plug it into the next one, and you somehow they can't read your mind anymore, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Uh, the So I suppose that actually at this point you wouldn't have got the references, would you? You'd have had to have gone back and come back to it for the like you've upgraded your hardware and you've uh, can't read your mind and stuff. I can't make a controller because it's like, oh, we're now wireless, so we can't make your controller vibrate.
Mm.
Oh, man, I feel bad for you actually.
Well, yes. I mean, I've seen people react to the initial version, and must
Mm.
like must say, yeah, I am missing out there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, After the Screaming Mantis fight, and obviously other model um, scene, we have to go down a microwave laden hallway to upload the virus,
Mm.
which of course works, and all the Patriot artificial intelligences get destroyed. Um, we're then confronted by Liquid. Now we have our fight scene here. Did you enjoy that? I thought it was quite an entertaining.
The liquid fight scene, yes, I really enjoyed it. Also, where they started to talk about the genes and so on from the liquid and solid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One So again, I guess he wouldn't have necessarily appreciated so much, but I really appreciated how they kept changing the health meter to be the different versions. So there was,
Yeah, I've noticed when it was the Metal Gear Solid 3 one.
yeah, because it says Naked Snake and Ocelot, doesn't it, or something like that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it's like I think one says Liquid Ocelot, Solid Snake. Then obviously it says like All Snake and Liquid, which is just awful. Um, the music treatment as well in the background here is really something that always gets me because I'm always kind of like, oh wow, so they're literally playing the themes from each of the games as you're going through the
Mhm.
fights, which I think is pretty sweet. Um, that's something we'll go on through a bit. What were your thoughts on the music here? Because something we've talked about in other episodes was the music treatment in these games is top notch. So
Yeah.
did you think that the because in this one there's because it's such a longer game, a lot of the music is quite big, if that makes sense. It's quite large themes. Also, there's a lot more. Oh, what's the singer's name? Her name's ejected from my brain. Donna Burke does a lot of the music for for the games from Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
And the very, very big albums. Because we compared Metal Gear Solid 3 to a James Bond film.
Yeah, that's very, very similar, yeah.
Yeah, so the music treatment there is very much like you could put together. We made this comparison. You could put like a Metal Gear Solid. You could put like you could put Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater's main theme onto a very best of James Bond, and if you weren't paying too close attention, you wouldn't realize it was on there.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool. Metal Gear Solid 4
absolutely, yeah.
has a fantastic soundtrack. So we beat Liquid. He almost turns back into Ocelot to tell you that you're pretty good, and then he dies. Um, Johnny and Meryl, we get our then 3.5 hour um, credits where we see Johnny and Meryl get married. Meryl and the Colonel make up. Drebin, our arms dealer, is revealed to be a Patriot agent. Raiden and Rosemary reunite with their son. Snake attempts to shoot himself, and of course is confronted by a revived Big Boss. What were your thoughts when? Because I remember seeing the credits and then his name appear, and then it cuts back to Solid Snake. What were your? What, how are you feeling at this point?
Well, at the end where he tries to shoot himself and then just the voice of the original Metal Gear, original uh, Big Boss appeared was like, oh my god, he's still alive.
Yeah, yeah, eye patch and everything.
Yeah.
Um, I really enjoyed this bit. So it almost kind of feels like this is the story's already quite complicated at this point, isn't it? But it
Hmm.
almost feels like his appearance almost recomplicates it a little bit more because he starts talking
Yeah.
about like reduce like I don't know, maybe from a bird's eye view, it's not actually that complicated. But he starts talking about like reducing reducing the world back to nothing from zero because once you have zero, zero will multiply and become one, and you're like, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, my brain is hurting.
Yeah. That was like completely. Yeah.
um, Big Boss makes you aware that everything's nanomachines. Tells him Ocelot brainwashed himself to convince himself he was liquid to fool the Patriots. This feels like a little bit of a. Was that really needed? Did we think that was really needed?
Well,
I feel like he could have got away without it. didn't
yeah, maybe.
didn't need to be telling them. Um, he then basically informs Snake that the fox die will kill him. He basically gets carried over to the boss's grave and proceeds to die. And there ends the Metal Gear Solid story in
Yes.
theory. Obviously, we don't know we're getting 5 at this point. So complexity on Metal or to other Metal Gear Solid games. Where do we feel this stands? Where would you put this in terms of complexity?
High up.
Yeah, I've got it as
Yeah.
like a 50 out of 10 um, for complexity.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
I mean, because even now, like I said, this game was released in 2008. I still don't think now I fully understand the plot. Um, it's like 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
the learning that the Patriots were the cast of Metal Gear Solid 3, um, that Eva is Liquid and Solid's mom, the whole war economy, the advancement of the AIs, the Sons of the Patriot system, the PMC stuff alone gave me a headache. Like,
Yeah.
just oh yeah, everyone's a PMC. Like, well, who's a PMC? They're a PMC. But I thought you said they were local militia. Yeah, but they're bolstered by PMCs. So, oh my goodness me. Okay.
Mm.
um, massive Black Ops level operation. Also, yeah, this whole massive Black Ops level operation to try and bring down the Patriots, where you had people pretending they were other people and people pretending to be dead, people stopping other people dying. Yeah, it felt really complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, I was quite overwhelmed. I did my homework and still have some holes, obviously.
Mm.
Eh,
I mean, it's comparisons to sort of PlayStation sort of 2's Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 feels very uncomplicated. You know that the boss was sent in to basically purposely betray a country. You kind of get that.
yeah,
But that's kind of it. That's kind of it. There's no.
yeah,
This felt very, very complicated in comparison. So, positives. What were your biggest positives from this game?
definitely the story. Even though it was so complicated, it was so entertaining to just learn into it.
Mm. Was there anything about the sort of mechanics of the game? Anything about the
The
pacing?
mechanics were just fine, in my opinion. I think
Mhm.
the biggest plus point is definitely the the story.
The overall story? Did
Yeah,
For me, getting to play in Metal Gear Rex was everything I dreamed of since playing Metal Gear Solid 1. I,
yeah, I can imagine.
yeah. As soon as I was like, as soon as they were like, you're gonna have to drive Rex, I was like, whoa, this isn't.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get to do that. It's gonna be the computer or in a video. No, no, you're gonna be driving Metal Gear Rex. You're gonna drive down the long corridor. You're gonna shoot all the gecko. Then you're gonna get outside. You're gonna fight Metal Gear Ray. And I hated Metal Gear Ray. Hated it. So as soon as it was like, hey, I'm gonna get to pilot Metal Gear Rex, and I'm gonna fight Metal Gear Ray, that Metal Gear from Metal Gear Solid 2 that I frigging couldn't stand. I'm gonna get to blast that now into oblivion, which is exactly what I did, and I absolutely loved every second of it. What did you think of the differences in the sneaking element? So obviously in Metal Gear Solid 3, you had to kind of like put the right camo suit on, adapt to your environment. What did you think of the camo suit? How did you feel about that? Because I think that was a bit of a weird
it
thing.
was it was well, I was used to it from Metal Gear Solid 3 since I could use the camera to capture anything to get it into camera suit with for the
Mm,
3DS. So it was just like, well, it's making a more fluent thing of actually stealthing around. Yeah,
mm. I know we touched on it briefly. The camera angles. I must admit, I know it kind of just makes it a generic over the shoulder shooter, but I preferred it.
I preferred it as well. Yes, but
Yeah.
it was still something to get used to at the beginning.
We'll finish up then. Favorite character.
Yeah.
Favorite character.
Um, Ocelot, Liquid Ocelot,
How dare you? Um, favorite boss fight.
Liquid Ocelot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And favorite weapon.
CQC.
CQ. Oh, yeah, you got me there.
Yeah.
So, Case Priest, my favorite character in this game is Big Boss.
Mhm,
If you hadn't already guessed it, my favorite boss fight was the Metal Gear Ray. Very
mhm.
closely for Crime Wolf, though. Very closely for Crime
Yeah,
Wolf. My favorite weapon is the M4, just because I thought the level of customization you could do on that gun was absolutely fantastic. I loved being able to do all the changes and stuff to it. I thought it was brilliant. Um,
yeah.
cool. So we'll wrap up then.
Mhm.
I will open up the floor to allow you to plug any and everything you want to plug.
Well, I think that's just my Twitter or X with at Supperwall
And
and the React channel for Flesh and Blood content.
fantastic, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate
It
it.
was a pleasure as
Uh,
always.
you can catch us on Instagram at Big Boss Book Club, X Big Boss 010, and of course, Facebook at Big Boss Book Club. You can now listen to this podcast on YouTube the day after it gets released on all podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, a comment. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. Uh, thank you so much for listening. This has been Pascal, Matt, and Big Boss. We are out. Peace.